upright banded cat-cow. So we're going to use a band here. I'm going to show you two options. I'm going to do one while seated and do one while standing. So doing it while seated will help you keep the rest of your lower body, hips and below out of it, and will reduce the tension a little bit. When you stand up, it'll be a little bit more difficult, you'll see. So you'll get the band and just stand on it. Pretty simple. And then you'll put your elbows, arms through, so the band's now on your elbows, and sit upright. So now all I'm going to do is go into my cat-cow, I'll go into my full flexion, and then from here, I'm going to, starting at my hips, I'm going to come through to extension and all the way up. And then when you get to the top, you're now really fighting against that band. So now I'm going to go back into flexion, so I'm going to tuck the hips under, one vertebrae at a time whilst trying to stay in extension at the top, into full flexion, now into extension. Really, when you get to this full extension, really fight for a little bit more, then control it into flexion, and then up to extension, really trying to move one vertebrae at a time. And when you get to that extension, really fight for it. You'll feel the tension against the band. To make it a little bit more difficult, do exactly the same thing standing. So, stand on the band, underneath. Now, it's a lot more tension because obviously my elbows are higher, but same thing, I'm just going to come into flexion, tuck the hips, I'm going to go one vertebrae at a time, get into as much extension as I can. Oh. Hips into flexion. Oof. And there you go. Your goal when you do this, most likely, obviously watch for your program, but your goal most likely is going to be 60 seconds to failure. So you want to pick a resistance that you'll fail in about 60 seconds. So you can sit down. You can also, like, if that's too much and you want to do it standing or even seated, rather than having it like this and standing on the middle of the band, you could just stand on one section of the band. Now, it's a lot less resistance there. So that may be your starting point. If that's a little bit too loose, but doubling it up the way I started is a little bit too much, then just pull it here through your feet, stand on it, and now it's a little bit more tension that way. So you can really adjust the tension based on how you stand on the band. But you're taking, once again, you're really trying to go one vertebrae at a time. When you get to that extension, really fight for that more extension. And there you go. Enjoy.